Every method that made people rich for the last 100 years is still technically true. Work hard, save consistently, invest early, none of that is wrong. But something has shifted underneath all of it, and almost nobody is talking about what that actually means for how wealth gets built from here. Let me tell you about two people. Same age, same starting point, same year, 2024. His name is Daniel. Daniel spent that year doing exactly what worked for the last generation. Building a single skill, climbing a single ladder, betting everything on one job, one title, one slow promotion at a time. He worked hard, he stayed late. He did everything his parents told him would eventually lead to security. Her name is Lena. Lena spent that same year doing something that looked almost lazy from the outside, learning to direct AI instead of compete with it, building small things fast, testing ideas in days instead of months, letting machines do the labor while she focused entirely on judgment, taste, and direction. By the end of 2025, the gap between them was not small. It was not subtle. It was the kind of gap that used to take a decade to create. This is not a video about replacing your job with a chatbot. This is about a genuinely new wealth mechanism that has only existed for a few years, and the specific way ordinary people are using it to build income at a speed that simply was not possible before. Let me show you exactly what Lena did differently, step by step, and exactly where Daniel went wrong without ever realizing it. Step 1, stop competing with the machine, start directing it. Daniel's entire approach to his career was built on being good at tasks, writing reports well, building spreadsheets accurately, producing things faster than the person next to him. For decades, this was exactly the right strategy because the value of a worker was tied directly to how much output they could personally produce. The problem in 2026 is that the tasks Daniel built his entire identity around are now things a machine can do in seconds, often to a similar or higher standard, for almost nothing. Lena understood this earlier than most. She stopped trying to be the fastest writer, the fastest designer, the fastest analyst in the room because she realized that race was already over and the machine had won it. Instead, she repositioned herself one level up. Not the person doing the task, but the person deciding what the task should even be, judging whether the output was actually good, and shaping raw machine output into something that solved a real problem for a real person. The skill that matters now is not execution speed. It is judgment, taste, and the ability to ask the right question. Machines are extraordinary at answering. They are still remarkably bad at knowing which question is worth asking in the first place. That gap is where Lena built her entire advantage. Step 2, build small things fast instead of one big thing slowly. Daniel's plan for wealth was the traditional one. Stay in one job, climb steadily, wait years for promotion that would meaningfully change his income. There's nothing wrong with that plan in principle, except that it depends entirely on patience inside a system that moves slowly by design. Lena used AI to compress that timeline in a completely different way. Instead of spending months planning one large project, she started testing small ideas constantly. A short digital product built in a weekend instead of a quarter. A small service offer tested with 5 potential clients in a week, instead of a slow corporate proposal that took months to even get approved. She used AI to draft, prototype, and refine ideas at a speed that simply did not exist 5 years earlier. Most of these small experiments failed. That was expected, and it barely cost her anything because each one took days, not months to test. But the ones that worked, she could see clearly and quickly because the feedback loop was so much faster than anything available in a traditional career path. Daniel was placing one slow bet a year. Lena was placing 20 small fast bets and only needed a handful of them to work. Step 3, turn your specific knowledge into a force multiplier. Here's the mistake almost everyone makes when they first start trying to use AI to build income, and Daniel fell straight into it without realizing. He assumed that because AI could write content, design graphics, and build basic websites, the opportunity was to sell those raw AI outputs directly. So did thousands of other people at the exact same moment, which meant the market for generic AI-generated content collapsed almost as quickly as it appeared. If a machine can produce something for anyone in seconds, that something has very little value on its own. Lena did something different. She took specific knowledge she already had, years of experience understanding how small businesses struggled with their online presence, and used AI purely as a force multiplier on top of that expertise. She was not selling AI written content. She was selling a result, an outcome, a problem solved, delivered faster and more affordably than a traditional agency could manage because AI handled the repetitive, time-consuming layers of the work while her judgment shaped the final product. The machine did the labor. She provided the thing the machine could not, which was understanding exactly what a specific client actually needed and shaping the output until it genuinely fit. That combination, real expertise plus AI leverage, is worth significantly more than either piece alone. Step 4, let AI buy you back your most limited resource, which is time. Daniel measured his progress the traditional way by hours worked and tasks completed. The harder he worked, the more he assumed he was moving forward, even when many of those hours were spent on things that did not actually require his judgment at all. Research that could have been automated, first drafts that could have been generated and then refined rather than written entirely from scratch. Repetitive analysis that ate entire afternoons. Lena tracked something different. Not hours worked, but hours spent on things only she could do. Every task that did not require her specific judgment, she handed to AI, which freed enormous amounts of time that she then reinvested into the things that actually moved her forward. Finding new opportunities, refining her offer, having real conversations with potential clients. She was not working less than Daniel. She was working on fundamentally different things because AI had quietly taken over everything that did not require a human making a judgment call. Step 5, treat speed of learning as the actual asset, not any single skill. By the time most people fully understand one piece of AI technology, a newer version has usually already changed what is possible. Daniel found this frustrating and used it as a reason to wait, telling himself he would properly learn this once things settled down. Things never settled down, and his waiting simply became permanent. Lena approached this completely differently. She stopped trying to master any single tool and instead built the habit of testing new tools, quickly extracting what was useful and moving on without becoming attached to any one of them. Her actual skill was not being an expert in one particular AI product. It was being someone who could rapidly figure out what any new tool was good for and put it to use within days of it appearing. In an environment changing this quickly, the person who adapts fastest consistently outperforms the person who is theoretically most skilled at yesterday's version of the technology. Here's what all 5 of these differences add up to, because none of them work in isolation, directing instead of competing freed Lena from a race that machines had already won. Building small and fast gave her dozens of low-cost chances to find something that worked instead of one slow, expensive bet. Combining her real expertise with AI leverage meant she was never competing purely on price against generic machine output. Reclaiming her time let her spend hours on judgment instead of repetition. And treating adaptability itself as the skill meant she never fell behind waiting for the technology to settle down. Daniel was not lazy, he was not unintelligent. He was applying a strategy that genuinely worked for decades in an environment that has fundamentally changed beneath it. That is the uncomfortable truth at the center of this entire shift. The old playbook is not wrong, exactly. It is simply incomplete for the world that exists now. The wealth being built in the age of AI is not going to the people who type the fastest prompts or own the most subscriptions. It is going to the people who figured out, like Lena did, that the real opportunity sits one level above the task itself in direction, in judgment, in the willingness to test small ideas quickly and let the machine carry the weight of the labor. That shift is available to absolutely anyone willing to make it. It does not require a technical background. It does not require starting capital. It requires letting go of the instinct to compete with the machine and learning instead to point it in a direction only you could choose. That is the new way of getting rich in the age of AI. Not louder, not flashier, just fundamentally different from everything that came before it. If you want to see exactly how to build your first AI-powered offer using the expertise you already have, I have left that video right up there. Subscribe. If you want to keep building, I will see you in the next one.